Hi, and welcome to Dungeon Creation Live episode 2. And because of the success of the first one of these, I decided to do another one. And joining me today is Lee Eddings, DM Insomnia from YouTube, and Brian Briggs from Happy Healer, that's Happie Healer on Twitch. And we're going to go forth for an hour and create a dungeon using your assistance in the chat room. So if you're joining us on the chat room there, thank you for joining us, and welcome to everyone from all over the world. Happy Healer's joining us from South Korea, and I'm in Australia in Sydney, and Lee, you're in Washington in the US, is that right? Correct.
Yes.
I'm getting everything right.
Yeah.
Of course, if you can't hear me or there's echo or something like that, please type it into the chat so that I can do what I need to do to stop it. Alrighty.
When they're trying to piss me off.
Okay, so what you guys created two themes, well, a theme and a location. And we're going to just find out. So, Brian, if you can start there and just tell us what you had in mind for a theme and a location.
Okay, so I've always been a big fan of dragons. I've got the big colossal dragon, but I'm not gonna let you do a colored or metallic dragon. Something that I feel like is underdone in the D&D universe is the gem dragons.
Gem, all right.
So I'll let you pick whichever gem of the neutral dragons. I'll let you pick whichever color you want. But I want a shrine to that dragon.
A shrine, okay. Lee?
Well, I've never actually done a whole lot with dragons, but I love twists on stereotypes. So one of my favorite movies, is Frankenstein, and so I want to see a wizard's lair, but the guy is absolutely insane. His thought is he can take anything, put it together, and make it go.
Okay.
So he'll take bits and pieces of dead creatures, stitch them together, bring them to life, and deal with whatever happens.
Okay. And the location for the gem dragon, what sort of location did you think?
Let's go with forest.
Forest? All right.
Yes.
And what sort of location were you thinking, Lee?
I was actually thinking underground.
Underground?
Kind of cool. Something dug out, like an old mine or something that he may have happened on that he turned into his lair.
A mine, okay. Anyone in the audience that has any ideas related to this? Now, I didn't ask these guys these questions prior to doing that. This is the first time I've heard these. So if you have any questions or anything in the comment section, please do so, and then we'll use that as a prompt response to get things going in here. Now, there is a delay between us talking and you receiving the stream, so be sure to take that into account. So it could be up to sometimes a minute, but usually it's about 20 to 30 seconds when between this and the delay. All right. So a gem dragon shrine in a forest, or an insane wizard's lair underground in a mine. Okay. Well, the first thing I'm thinking of is how do we combine both? How about the insane wizard who likes to build things wants to actually build a gem dragon?
Okay.
So he would have to. So he'd have to have this secret underground lair in the forest somewhere. Okay. And I don't know that much about gem dragons, so you'll just have to help me along with gem dragons as to sort of size and magical abilities and all that sort of thing. I assume,
For
obviously.
the most part, they're the same sizes as the others. Again, they just have that more neutral component to them. Whereas, the chromatic ones are typically evil.
Yep.
And the metallic are usually good.
Okay. So do we want him to be a good, or is he trying to build good, or is he trying to build evil?
I would say just he's trying to build for himself and keeps to that neutrality.
Okay. So what would be the neutral? What would be neutral in that respect?
One second, I'm trying to find the book.
Okay.
I should have had that out.
That's all right. So Lee, someone, RPG Relic Hunter, has suggested there be a portal to an elemental dimension of fire. Using that portal as his heat source. Can you add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense. I mean, if he found let's imagine, he did find an abandoned mine that he took over.
Yep.
It would need to, it's possible that it had an existing heat source, or he put one in there.
Yep.
And, perhaps he would even experiment with taking creatures from that plane and trying to meld them with other creatures that he comes across.
Okay. So he's using it to put other creatures into it. So it may not be a proper dragon, let's say. It's going to be a mishmash of other material crafts or constructs or whatever. So we could have a whole bunch of maybe stone golems or something like that. So he's very much into the use of animated objects.
Right.
So animated objects. Yep.
Yeah, because I mean, I've put something like this together before. I never mapped it out though.
Yep.
But he would take, a minotaur head, throw it on an orc body with goblin arms, just to see if he could get it to work. And so I imagine somebody like that, if they could get their hands on dragon parts, they'd be happy.
Well, I think, if we stay away from the actual flesh creatures and rather it be materials. So, people are, oh my god, all these things are going missing, and the ogres in the, near the town are getting upset or whatever. It's rather key things like the windmill grinding stone has gone missing. So that makes it more interesting, because you've got no idea why someone would want to steal a windmill grinding stone from the small town. So that's your hook, I think, because you need some kind of hook to drag the players into the story, and something a bit obscure like that. Why on earth would someone want to steal that? Is probably a good hook, and he's going to break that down and use it for components in building this gem dragon.
Okay,
So,
I like that.
So we'll start with that. The characters are in a small town, and we need a name for the small town. So if you're in the chat, punch out a name for us so that we can determine the name for the small town. And we also need a name for this insane wizard as well. And probably a name for the forest as well. But we can relate the name of the forest to the town.
Right.
Okay.
You're not asking me for that because I'm terrible with names.
I just go blah blah blah. No, right, okay. Slightly change that to blah. Can blah blah blah. All right. Okay. So just to reiterate, so far we have decided upon an insane wizard who lives in an abandoned mine in a forest near a small town, and he is attempting to build a type of gem dragon, and he's going to make it out of inorganic components, so it'll be pieces of machinery, pieces of rock, etc. So he likes animating things. Would be where it would be, like golems and stuff like that. So we would assume to have a lot of those things, and we will also then have a hook where the townspeople are up in arms because someone has managed to steal the local mill's grinding stone from the windmill or the water mill in the town. So that's where we're at the moment, and we're asking the people in the chat for names of towns. So far we've got Azereld, Azereld. So would that be a name for the wizard, or would that be a name for the town?
Or both, if he's, just...
Or both, yep.
egomaniac.
So we've got the Forest of Dame. The Forest of Dame. Which supposedly is dwarf royalty. Okay. So that will be a forest wherein it would be some ancient mine that the dwarves no longer use. So they abandoned it centuries ago. Abandoned by dwarves. Sorry, I'm just writing all this down so that I don't lose track of what we're doing. So Cybercat, Almighty Cat God, where is the town? In a cold place or a warm place? So what do you think? Should it be cold or warm?
Well, I think we were going with that more fire motif, right? So maybe even a hot place.
So the tropics?
Yeah.
Okay. So instead of a forest, then we change that to a jungle.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
So instead of the Forest of Dame, it becomes the Jungle of Dame. Okay, in which we have the abandoned mine, the dwarven mine. So we've got a couple of suggestions now. Moragel or Moragel, Moragel. So that sounds like a good wizard name. So Moragel.
As far as the dragons go, we've got a few types.
Okay.
Topaz, which is linked to water, so probably not.
Yep.
Sapphire, which is linked to earth.
Yep.
Emerald, which is linked to air. Crystal, which is linked to air. And amethyst, which is linked to earth. So probably either amethyst or the other one. What is it? Sapphire.
Okay.
Or both.
So yeah, let's go with
together.
So let's go with amethyst then. And this would be an old amethyst mine. So the dwarves obviously hadn't delved deep enough, and he's found a new vein of amethyst in this mine. Amethyst. Okay. Alrighty. So I'm just switching to the screen now so we can see what I'm drawing. So you guys can see my screen, is that correct? Just so that I'm not...
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, so we'll just start off with an entrance to the mine. Now, as I said before, usually I like to start with some sort of decision. So last time it was, a left stairwell and a right stairwell. But the decision, it's almost like do you want to or do you not want to? It allows for a hesitation. Do you want to go straight into combat, or do you want to take some time to explore. So really, the decision here is almost like an organic puzzle where you can. One is going to be exploration, and one is going to be more event-driven. So it'd be combat or encountering NPCs and things like that. So what would you say would be good ways that you can think of, and people in the chat can respond as well, to set up the sort of duality of one is possibly exploration and the other one is, more event-driven?
Well, I mean, if this guy's got his, secret lair underground, I would say that one way is going to have, obviously more magical kind of, if nothing else, resonance coming from it. Maybe even some runes on the ground, traps just to keep people out of his lair, and going the other way, and have the other part be the mine.
Okay, so just gonna fill these up here. Okay, so one way will hint to the fact that there's magic or something to that effect. Now, it doesn't necessarily need to be another corridor or another stairwell or something like that, as we've said in the last one. I think maybe we can do some sort of ritual circle with some ruins and things in it. So it's so it's quite obviously a teleportation circle that will teleport you to somewhere else. How about that?
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Put it on the other side though, because treasure's always best.
Well, one
It's
thing,
true.
I mean, with mines, there's usually, the main corridor slopes down.
Yep.
And then at different levels, you would actually have multiple branches on either side.
Yeah.
So it could be, some of them are collapsed, some of them obvious disuse, but there is always going to be a couple that he uses on a regular basis that are going to show signs of current use. Recent footprints, no cobwebs, that kind of thing.
So this we would assume is deeper down in the mine. So this can actually be several levels down, or the second level down, or the third level down inside the mine.
Perfect.
So you can actually have a mine on top of this, which is actually preferable. Which is just your standard sort of try and find this area, a mini maze effectively, just to find this actual point, which is probably better, and just have standard creatures roaming around that's normal for this sort of jungle terrain. And once they get to this point, then it actually comes into focus as to what we're talking about. So you can actually use this as a lower level of a dungeon, so they have to get to this point to figure it out. Rather than, or you could just start this way and just say, okay, well you explore several levels of an abandoned mine and eventually you get to this point. But if you want to, draw it out, you can include all those sort of things.
Okay.
So you would have a lot of recent traffic around this portal, which would be carved into the ground, and the dust and everything would be disturbed around this runic portal. So what do we have in terms of the other direction?
I would say, that would be the way to, what was the dragon's lair.
Okay.
It could even be discarded parts from failed experiments, too.
Okay. So a junkyard.
Dumping pit.
Yeah, so a junkyard effectively. So that's quite a cool idea. So let's go with a junkyard. So we'll just open that up into a junkyard space. So piles and piles of just discarded bits and pieces of things, wagon wheels, broken stone, yeah, just
flawed gemstones.
yeah, flawed gemstone, just cracked glass, all that sort of stuff, and a high percentage of amethysts.
Yeah.
So,
Someone in chat even suggested maybe having like a larger pile of amethyst and having a trap attached to it as well.
yeah, so he can. I think that we will have, because he would have to have that close to his lab. So have an amethyst store. So let's consider that for later on, and that could be a heavily trapped thing. This, I think, is just some sort of refuse pile, but I think something should be guarding this. In any sense, there should be something here that's either living off this pile of garbage or is just standing guard for its master.
Well, are we looking at it as a pile of garbage, or are we looking at it as a pile like of parts?
Well, it'd be indeterminate at this.
Guarding it.
Well, it'd be slightly indeterminate at this point as to whether he may not know whether he needs some of these things or not. So he hasn't really thrown them away. This is sort of his bits box.
Then I would say some sort of guardian golems or flesh golems or something, at least watching or maintaining it.
Yeah.
I would say, as far as combat goes, flesh golems, and then maybe have some just a little homunculi walking around, maintaining stuff.
Well, RPG Relic Hunter just had a great suggestion: a rust monster. That's one way to get rid of some of the materials in this pile. So we can have creatures that actually eat stone or eat metal and that kind of stuff. So rust monster, obviously something that consumes metal. What would be something that would consume rocks?
There is a corpse gatherer mob in Monster Manual 3, I think, that just goes around collecting corpses and gets really big.
Yep.
Really nasty.
Is that the one that carries the corpses and spikes on its back and stuff?
Yeah, it's a nasty looking thing.
That thing's brutal. Because I was also thinking, a lot of sculptors, builders, they'll build small models, scale models of stuff.
Yeah.
So he could even have, small proof of concept models that help guard them. So maybe it's, he's figured out how to make one, cat-sized gem dragon.
Yeah.
Or even several of them. They're not extremely dangerous, but there's a bunch of them.
Someone in the chat says it was RPG Relic Hunter again. It said give them a clue as to what they will find. So that again would be quite important as to sort of giving them an idea of what's coming ahead. So maybe if there was a giant carved edifice of a dragon's head or something like that, just lying in the middle of a pile of crap, that's probably something that's cool. You'd have no, at this point, you've got no idea that it's got anything to do with dragons or anything to do with a mad wizard. All that you know is that the local millstone has been stolen.
Yeah.
So, what was it? It was a corpse gatherer, was it?
I can't find the exact name, but yeah, it's like corpse gatherer or something like that. It's called. Yeah, I can't. I just saw it literally 10 minutes ago.
Okay. So these things.
No, that's what it's called. Corpse gatherer. Monster Manual 2. I found it.
All right.
It's massive.
So you got that and a couple of rust monsters sort of fidgeting around in this junk pile, and in that is a carved the stone edifice. I hope my spelling is correct. I don't think it is. Of a dragon. There. Dragon's head. Okay. I'm thinking that there should be that maybe there should be this. There should be some sort of imprisonment here. That maybe there's people who former what did you call them, henchmen or whatever, he's come to distrust because he's obviously quite mad. Are in cells against this against
against the wall, or do you want them like maybe hanging? Because if they're against the wall, like rust monsters and stuff, get them. So you want those.
no, they'd be they'd be in smaller caves leading off the primary one, and then there'd be some sort of gates or something that obviously the rust monsters, something that's not going to be affected by rust monsters. So what do you think that could possibly be?
I mean, there's always ironwood or something. This is unaffected by it.
Yeah.
So it could be magical in essence.
Sorry, what?
Could be like a magical force shield or something like that.
Or even that, yeah, you just wall of force.
Yeah.
Or if he's using already, if he's already using, say, portal to the realm of fire or whatnot.
Yeah.
Maybe it's sheets of fire. You can't see what's in there.
Okay.
There's still maybe a little shadowy thing behind it, but.
All right. Yeah, that makes it quite interesting, just having these walls of fire in the corner, as though there's some sort of furnace that these, they're going to be chucking this junk into there. That's what you think, but that's not actually what it's for.
Yeah.
But then you've got a hint that there's something behind there.
Well, if it's not a solid sheet, maybe as the fire's moving, you can get a glimpse through it.
Yeah, so a perception check then will reveal that there is something behind those actual walls of fire.
Right.
Okay. So that, I think, can, if the person has not been able to decipher what the entrance word or whatever for this portal to activate, that should be given by someone in here.
Right.
So if they're skilled enough with magic or whatever, they can easily figure out what the entrance requirement is for this portal. But if not, then they have to rescue one person from here that gives them the details they need.
Yeah.
It looks like something with googly eyes. Okay. All right. So let's say that's the beginning then. So we can put that down here, and so that now leads. The portal then leads to a new section. Okay. All right. So
You want to lead to a new section, or just be like in a room?
It can be just a room.
How badly does this wizard want a cart stuffed,
Yeah. I mean,
from a portal
I don't
to another section to another,
Well, this is part of the security mechanism. So this is where all the traps and everything would come into it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't want to make it.
Have a different word to get to, directly where he needs to go versus.
Yeah. So the person who's been in here has given them the word that takes them to a separate section of it. You can't discern what the most direct one is, which we'll place in the end room. We'll place the most direct route. So that's how they get out. They don't have to go back through all the traps and everything like that. Okay. So they will arrive in a room. And this is where the trapping will start.
So here's what I'm thinking for this first room. Okay. Have it be this elaborate, ornate, like bedroom-looking thing, and let there be this huge rug on the floor, and let that rug be an animated object, and let the and eventually the entire room, but mainly that rug be the trigger. So it gets the surprise attack and their sneak attack, and wraps around one person, and they're now constricted.
You could make it
just be this what would look like, oh hey, loot.
Yeah.
Loot room. We finished this first encounter. Oh, our free loot, and have it be one of those rooms that's the big finger from the DM.
All right, so let's make it then that there is the carpet, and on the carpet is the runic symbols from the portal. So the portal, it's actually stitched into the carpet. So this poor thing is always having stuff landing on its back, and we could maybe make it a variant of something like a cloaker. So it has similar sort of stuff, but it's an animated carpet that it does attack. And I think then to enhance that, you can have a whole bunch of chests in here that are actually mimics. So you go with the whole, if you're going with the DM finger thing here, it's like, congratulations, here's your loot. And you have...
And then they'll never trust you again.
Well, they don't trust me anyway.
And this is why it takes us 3 hours to check a door.
Yeah, you can't listen at a portal, though.
Exactly.
True. Alright.
And of course, there's no way out of here except for possibly some sort of door. So there has to be some...
Or someone suggested, do a riddle. So do a riddle in this room that gives you another keyword, and just have it be like a teleport game.
Yeah, you could do that.
Necessarily even doors.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, all right. So let's have
kind of stitching together dragons. Like I don't see why you can't make a bunch of different portals going to.
Okay, so let's.
I had in a game that I ran once, I had something similar to where there was like 4 or 5 mimics in the room, all looking like chests.
Yeah.
And by the time they got attacked by the third one, they just had the tank basically just smash the tar out of everything that looked like a chest from that point on. What if there's one chest in there that is actually the real thing, and on a fairly fragile scroll or something in it is a keyword to the next room?
Yeah, someone suggested here each henchman knows part of an activation phrase of the portal, or each henchman knows a different word that will take the players to a different part of the dungeon. So that's pretty good. So we can have 3 henchmen, each with 3 separate code words that then sends you to 3 separate crazy rooms. And the 4th room, which they don't know, is the final room with the wizard.
Okay.
So
Let's say in each of those rooms, you get a different word, and you need all three to get to
yeah,
the last one.
or the three words form are like the first word could be burn, and the second word could be incinerate, and the third word could be immolation. And then so the word they're looking for is fire. So fire will take them to where they want to go, but the other three words take them to these crazy rooms. But those three words hint to what the actual word is.
I like that. Okay.
So the henchmen don't know what the primary word is. They only know the secondary words because they're like the guys in that guy who tends the beast in episode 6 of Star Wars. I can never remember the title now for some stupid reason. Too much episode 7. Return of the Jedi. The guy who's who looks after the monster underneath.
No, the Rancor.
The Rancor. That's it. So each one of those guys he's the guy who feeds the mimics and combs the carpet, and they each just want to feed the monsters that they tend. Okay, so on the wall then would be some sort of thing that would give them clues to the fact that how they can return. So they'd have to stand on the portal again and speak one of the other words, and then they'll go to the other rooms.
Okay.
Be something like
kind of like going back to what Lee was saying though, where we have like one of the chests be not a mimic.
Yeah.
Have it have a fragile scroll inside, so that magician's choice. The first one's always going to be a mimic. Doesn't matter which one they choose. So after that, they're going to start smashing chests.
Yeah.
And have it in each room have like a little mini puzzle. So if they find the true word to get to the last room, let it be on that scroll. And then, if they smash that chest, it destroys the scroll. So now they've got to go to a different room. Give them the option of being able to go to that final room in each of these mini rooms.
Yeah.
And then, if they're just the loot grabbing kind of players,
yeah,
then they're just never going to get there.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the chests is not actually a mimic.
Right, and magician's choice on that, just have it to be where, the first one's always going to be a mimic.
Yeah. And then, so what sort of clue would it be? You'd have to have something.
Just have the be like a journal entry or something that has the word in it. Again, I don't think it needs to be overly confusing. I think it just can be on there.
Yeah. Players. Just it's easy enough, but the idea is that you've got a chest, they're going to destroy it because they think that it's also a mimic. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then do something similar like that in each room where it's if the players think before they act, they'll get what they need.
Okay.
So they get 3 chances basically, and if they just go smashing stuff, it's not going to happen.
Alright, so the plaque here on the wall needs to basically reiterate how the portals work, so they can, it would mention, what would we say, remember your keywords to travel the portals, or something like that.
Yeah.
Notice to employees.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it could be, like at some places I've worked, they have the thing on the computer monitor that, in order to save, type that, type this and hit enter. It could be, after done feeding and cleaning, gather everything together in the middle and say this.
Yeah.
and it'll put them back out towards the main area where
Yeah.
they would go get rid of the garbage.
Remember, minions, in order to travel the portals, thou must shalt speak your words.
Yeah.
And remember the trash.
Pretty much.
Okay, so alright, so that's the first room. So a second room.
I did the last room, so
Yeah.
I don't want to take it every time.
Could be like in the middle, say, like a large kennel,
Okay.
all covered up, so you can't see what's in it, and have it surrounded by statues. Now, most players, they're gonna think they know what's in it. They're gonna assume basilisk or something like that.
Yeah.
So you got your statues. You've got the thing in the middle. Obviously, well, unfortunately, what's in the box is actually the guy that knows the password for the next room.
Okay.
And the stats. All right, Doctor Who. I think it's Doctor Who. The Weeping Angels. Is that what it is?
Yep.
Statues. The statues that move when you're not looking at them. Something like that. So it's actually the statues that are the creatures. They're guarding this guy who displeased the master, who knows the next password.
Oh, that sounds pretty cool because again, you're doing that reversal. Everything, this all tends to be a reversal. So okay, so you're going to have a whole string of statues in here.
Yep. With different poses and.
Yeah, so they'd just be stone golems, effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah. And have them be like empowered stone golems since they do have a weakness here.
Yep.
Of not being able to move if you're looking at them.
Yep.
It's definitely one of those things where line of sight for all the characters come in handy.
So so they can't move if you're looking at them.
Yep.
Well, that makes combat very interesting.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to turn your back on any of them. You kind of just
I would also say make this room like dark, and then maybe put some torches around.
I was just thinking, what about the light
the kennel
source?
thing?
Yeah.
Well, but put some torches around the kennel thing. That way, if needed, the golems can snuff out the torches, and then get screwed.
Yeah. So they come into the portal here, and you obviously they would see all these statues and they'd see that kennel thing, and they would slowly approach the kennel. But as they go through the statues here, some of the statues turn and start like approaching them. So they hear them, they turn around, and the statues have moved but are now completely still. So they can go up to them and they can hit them and whatever, and they're just like normal statues. So they go, okay, turn around and go back towards the thing, and they all start moving again. So they turn around, and then say someone keeps watching the statues and the other people go into here, and the guy in the kennel is huddled, facing like wide-eyed, hasn't slept in a very long time, just staring at these golems. And the reason that they've been able to move is because he's been looking at the players the whole time, when they've come in, because it's like finally someone else can sit and stare at these things.
Yeah, but let's see. Yeah, I mean the only thing would be is making sure there's a way for him to not shout out to the players.
So have his tongue cut out.
Yeah. He can't give you the.
Yeah, no. So
that's when the DM gets to play charades.
Yeah. Well, he's isn't there a mute spell? Could he not have had like a mute spell or something cast on me? You'd have to
silence or
yeah.
There's plenty of things in you.
So yeah, you could have the kennel has a zone of silence around it.
Yeah. All right, hang on one sec, guys.
I went there and.
Okay, so the zone of silence around that.
So there's a lot of sky calls. Yeah, it's simply. So it's all supposed to be done yesterday's.
So there we go, zone of silence around that. So obviously it's a little bit easier to conquer this room because you merely have to have someone looking at the golems the entire time to get out, but you wouldn't figure that out until.
Right. But I think like Lee was saying, like you're gonna have somebody going, oh, well, obviously there's something in there. Let's throw a fireball at it.
Yeah.
It's gonna end very quickly.
Yeah.
I've actually had a player do something like that, where I got the idea from, and after all was said and done, all we found was incinerated bones of some poor human schmuck that was chained up in the box. Which we found out actually released the statues from their limitation of only being able to move when you were looking at them.
Yeah.
So
it's basically just a normal stone golem that's just been reskinned with a simple change, which is they can't move if you're looking at them.
Yep.
Right.
All right. So then the guy in the kennel gives you the word to go to the next room.
Right.
If not, if he's been killed or something like that, then he's scratched it into the back wall of the kennel or something as a, as an okay.
The same word over and over and over.
Yeah. All right. So next room.
I think we need to go back to that, like, flesh crafting motif.
Yeah.
Here. Have this be like maybe like a preparation room.
Okay. So this is where some of the pots and things are available. Like
yeah, I would say like stuff hanging on the walls, like meat hooks kind of thing.
Yeah. Heads and arms and legs of a variety of different creatures.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the butcher from Diablo.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. I would almost say make this room larger.
Yep.
Than some of these other ones too. As far as and maybe even have this one be the room where, okay, you guys, obviously screwed up the last two rooms.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give you the word, and not necessarily have a puzzle attached to this one. Just have a, nasty encounter.
Yeah. So put
butcher-like character attached to it.
So put a set. So you would arrive in one portal, and then there's another one on the other side of the room, and between them is the butcher character.
Yeah.
All right.
And
because the wizard's probably, he's not going to necessarily want to do all of his dismembering himself.
Yeah.
And so if he's got the ability to go to these other planes to gather materials, why wouldn't he be able to gather himself an assistant?
Or, create himself an assistant.
Well, let's assume that this butcher character is also he disassembles stuff as well. So it's not just blood and guts. It's also, this is where they find the millstone. He's got that, and he's been carving it up to the master's requirements, and he's always talking about the master, and you're not going to get to the master unless you say the word blah blah blah. He just blurts it out, and he's like, "Oh crap! Now I'm going to have to kill you because the master won't like that." He's just completely,
You guys are never going to say fire.
Yeah. Damn! Oh, now I have to kill you. So
What's
he,
funny is, if he's doing, he's got some, the flesh and blood body parts. He's got some of the other materials that he's working on. He could just be gross. I mean, he could be throwing entrails at the players to distract them, and then he's got a stone skull that he throws.
he's like instead of ropes, he's using intestines and strangling and using limbs as clubs. And he's just got this giant sort of cleaver thing that also acts as a chisel. He just uses that as a weapon.
I think this room leaves a lot to just DM imagination.
Yeah.
On what is be in this room?
No, you know what he should be? He should be a mishmash of other creatures. So he is the Frankenstein monster.
Because there was one I created where it's got like one side where the arm would attach. It's actually got the tentacles from a roper.
Yeah.
And the other arm, I think I had it as a. Can't remember what I used. Something with big claws on it. But it was a mishmash of like 5 or 6 things, but I never actually got to run the adventures. So.
Well, here is your opportunity. This is where you take like 4 or 5 of your favorite monster parts. It's like he's got multiple Hydra heads. He's got roper arms. He's got like on the top of the Hydra head, he's got Minotaur heads or whatever.
Dead center on his chest, he's got the main eye from a beholder.
That's right. And that's how he looks. That's how he sees. So this thing is just one huge mishmash of dead shit put together. So this is a creature that obviously has very low intelligence because it's functioning from 5 different brains.
Very simple instructions. Carve this, break this.
That's right. And whatever you do, don't tell anybody the word fire. I won't be telling you the word fire. Don't!
Oh, man.
Okay, so obviously once you defeat this guy, then you can go to the other portal, and then that'll get you to the main room, where obviously there is a partially constructed gem dragon, which, depending on the level of your characters, you may want to actually have the gem dragon completed.
Well, I mean, like even the lower level groups could still do it. Just have it be a smaller dragon.
Yeah. A baby one.
They start out with, at least from 3.5, CR of 3, all the way up to 25. So.
All right. So there's scope then to change that up.
So it'd be funny.
And again, like homunculi kind of thing, or not like like a Frankenstein kind of thing. So you throw extra things onto it to, a wyvern tail or whatever.
Yeah, it would be funny as if if one of your players, say, is playing a wizard that loves to throw lightning bolts or fireballs or something like that. It'd be funny if the thing the guy's building, in order to activate it, requires electricity or fire or something like that, so that the party is actually what causes it to come to life.
Yeah, so they step through this portal, which is that fire portal we talked about before, which instigates the whole thing. So they step out of the fire portal furnace here, and you've got Senor Mad Wizardo. What did we call him again? What was his name? Moragel.
Yeah.
Someone just pimped my dragon. Okay. And so there should be, in terms of a treasure reward, this is where you would have like a storeroom off to the side that has all the amethysts, leftovers and stuff like that.
Well, not to mention you'd have all the journals from the wizard.
Yeah.
all of his experiments, possibly new spells if the guy running the game wants to put that in there.
Yep.
Animate
Lots of room
gemstone.
over here.
All right. So do you think that we need anything more on that, or was that pretty much it?
I
like
think
it.
that does it. I
I like
think it leaves a lot of room for DM interpretation without, being okay. Well, this is what you have to do. There's a lot of CR level
Yeah.
kind of room there too. I think it's good.
Cool.
Combat, storytelling, puzzles, it's all there.
Yep. And to an extent, there is exploration in terms of going through the different rooms.
Yeah.
And if you do have the fire, you can then just skip straight to the end if you needed to, and bypass all the craziness.
Well, and I mean, there's nothing saying that you can't go back.
Yeah.
Like, well, I wonder what you do get the room in the mimic room, and then you go back and you go, well, I guess I wonder what was in those other 2 rooms. Might as
Yeah.
might as
What
well.
else? What was in there?
My players are gonna go, well, loot was obviously in there.
That's where all the real treasure was. Yeah, you can take all the amethysts out of the treasure here and scatter it in the other 3 rooms if they go there directly.
They drive the thief nuts, all these loose gemstones on the ground.
Well, that was cool. If anyone else has any other ideas, please forward them to us in the comments after the show is live down the bottom. Thank you for joining me, DM Insomnia, Lee Eddings from the YouTube channel DM Insomnia, and Briggs from Happy Healer, which is on Twitch, and it's HAPPIE. The links are in the description below. And if you're interested in the previous adventure to this one, it is available on my store. It's dmg.info/store, and there'll probably be this one as well. Once I type up all the chaos for this. Alright, so thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully we will see you next time.
Oh yeah, have fun, man.